In the soft glow of a quiet afternoon, a café hummed with the low murmur of voices and the clinking of cups. Ethan Cole, a man of wealth and power, sat at a corner table. His tailored blazer and polished shoes made him stand out, but his eyes carried something far heavier than success. Beside him, in her small wheelchair, was Lily, his 8-year-old daughter. Her thin hands rested on her lap, a ribbon tied neatly in her brown hair. Ethan watched her quietly, sipping nothing from his coffee. Money had bought him everything except the one thing he wished for most: a simple, easy life for his little girl. Lily leaned forward, her curious eyes studying the colorful pictures on the menu. She couldn't read all the words yet, but she loved looking at the little drawings of pancakes and sandwiches. Her small finger tapped the page, a silent request. Ethan glanced up briefly, then back at his phone. His world was filled with meetings, numbers, and endless responsibilities, but he could never escape the guilt that pressed on him. He wanted to give her everything, yet he struggled with the simplest of tasks: feeding her, helping her in small, everyday ways. His wife had left years ago, unable to bear the weight of responsibility. Since then, Ethan had tried to be both father and mother, but some moments, like this one, revealed just how lost he still felt. The sound of soft footsteps drew their attention. Maya, the waitress, approached their table with a notepad in hand. Her uniform was plain, her shoes slightly worn, but her smile carried warmth. She bent slightly, lowering herself to Lily's eye level. "Hi there, sweetheart," she said gently, her tone light as if she was speaking to a friend. Face lit up instantly, her shy smile returning the kindness. Ethan, meanwhile, watched quietly. He was used to people addressing him first, the wealthy man, the important customer. But Maya had looked at his daughter first, as if she was the one who truly mattered. Something small shifted inside him at that moment, though he did not yet know why. The food arrived a few minutes later, the fragrant steam of soup rising gently between them. Lily eagerly reached for her spoon, her little hands trembling as she tried to guide it toward her mouth. Ethan leaned forward quickly, hand half raised, but then stopped. He had learned the hard way that Lily hated feeling helpless. She wanted to try, even when the task seemed impossible. The spoon wobbled dangerously, drops spilling onto the table. Ethan's chest tightened. The world of business was simple too. Numbers, contracts, deals. But here, in this tiny cafe, he felt powerless. From across the room, Maya noticed. Her steps slowed, her eyes watching with quiet concern. She could see what Ethan could not say, that he loved his daughter deeply, yet felt like he was failing her in the smallest ways. Maya walked over softly, kneeling beside Lily's chair, so she wouldn't tower over her. She picked up the spoon with delicate care. "May I help?" she asked, her voice gentle, seeking Lily's permission rather than assuming it. Lily looked at her father for a moment, then back at Maya, and gave the smallest nod. Maya smiled warmly. Slowly, she lifted the spoon, waiting for Lily to lean forward before bringing it close. The little girl accepted the bite, her face brightening instantly. Ethan sat frozen, his throat tight. This wasn't pity. Maya wasn't rushing, wasn't treating Lily as fragile glass. She was simply present, patient. For the first time in a long while, Ethan felt something loosen in his chest. It was a strange feeling, comfort, mixed with longing for a kind of help money had never been able to buy. Ethan watched quietly as Maya continued, spoonful by spoonful. Lily giggled between bites, her laughter filling the cafe like a soft melody. Each sound was like sunlight breaking through clouds. Ethan leaned back slightly, his hand resting on the table, his phone forgotten beside him. For years, his life had been a blur of rushing from meeting to meeting, shielding himself behind walls of pride and control. But in that simple moment, watching his daughter enjoy her meal with the help of a stranger, something inside him softened. Maya glanced up once, meeting his eyes briefly. There was no judgment in her gaze, only kindness. Ethan managed a faint smile, perhaps the first in days. He realized then how rarely he had felt this simple peace watching his daughter cared for, not with money or doctors, but with genuine human warmth. When the last spoonful was gone, Maya picked up a napkin, dabbing lightly at Lily's mouth. "There we go," she whispered softly, as though tending to her own little sister. Lily's smile widened, her eyes sparkling with trust. Ethan's gaze lingered on them, his heart heavy with unspoken emotion. He wondered when was the last time someone had looked at his daughter with such patience. Not as a burden, not with pity, but with quiet love. Money could buy the most expensive treatments, the most comfortable chair, the finest tutors, but it could not buy this simple act of kindness that seemed to touch his daughter's soul. Ethan felt a lump rise in his throat. He had spent years building walls around his heart, and now a single waitress had slipped past them with ease. Ethan cleared his throat, his voice quieter than usual. "Thank you," he said simply, the words carrying more weight than they appeared. Maya rose to her feet, brushing her apron with a humble smile. "It's nothing," she replied softly. "She's a wonderful girl." Lily tilted her head back, gazing up at Maya with wide, grateful eyes. She didn't speak, but her expression said more than words could. Ethan felt the moment linger, stretching gently between them. A stranger had stepped into their lives for only a few minutes, yet it felt as though she had opened a window in a long-closed room. As Maya turned to walk away, Ethan found himself wishing she wouldn't. For reasons he couldn't quite explain, he wanted her kindness to remain, if only a little longer. Time slipped by unnoticed. Outside, the afternoon sun sank lower, painting the street in orange and gold. Inside the café, Lily sat happily with a small box of crayons Maya had left for her. She bent over a napkin, filling it with shaky, colorful lines. Ethan leaned back in his chair, the quietest smile tugging at his lips. For the first time in a long while, he felt the weight on his shoulders ease, if only slightly. The café no longer felt like just another stop in his busy day. It felt softer, warmer. Maya passed by occasionally, checking on other customers, but each time her eyes flicked toward Lily, a gentle smile touched her lips. Ethan noticed, and though he did not speak of it, he found himself grateful in a way he had not felt in years. When Maya returned to clear their table, Lily lifted her napkin proudly. A crooked heart, drawn in bright red, stretched across the center. Maya gasped softly, kneeling again so her eyes met Lily's. "That's beautiful," she whispered. "Is that for me?" Lily nodded shyly, holding it out. Maya pressed her hand over her chest as though she had been given a treasure. Ethan watched the exchange in silence, his throat tight. He had seen his daughter draw before messy sketches on paper in her room, but never had he seen her offer something so freely to someone else. He realized then that kindness opened doors money never could. For Lily, this waitress was no stranger anymore. She was a friend. Ethan's chest ached with both pride and sorrow, knowing he had failed to give Lily the simple connections she deserved. As the café emptied and the evening hush settled in, Ethan finally found his voice. "I should thank you again," he said, his tone steady but low. His words were not casual this time. They carried the weight of a man who rarely revealed what lay beneath. Maya tilted her head, her simple smile never fading. "You don't need to," she replied gently. "She just needed a little help, that's all." Ethan studied her face, searching for something: pity, judgment, curiosity, but he found none, only quiet understanding. For years, he had guarded his world behind high walls, convinced no one could truly see him. And yet, here was a woman who had stepped into his life without asking for anything, and in doing so, had touched the most fragile part of it, his daughter. When it was finally time to leave, Maya crouched beside Lily once more, tucking a loose strand of hair behind the girl's ear. "Be good for your dad, okay?" she said playfully. Lily's grin widened, and she waved her tiny hand in farewell. Ethan stood, slowly pushing the wheelchair toward the door. But as they reached it, he paused, turning his head slightly. Maya stood near the counter, wiping it down absent-mindedly, though her eyes lifted when she felt his gaze. For a brief moment, their eyes met across the quiet café. No words were spoken. Yet, in that silence, Ethan felt a connection he could not explain. It wasn't romance, not yet. It was something deeper, simpler, the recognition of a kindness that had left a mark. With a nod, he stepped into the cool evening air. The night air greeted them with a gentle chill. Ethan bent down, adjusting the blanket over Lily's lap, tucking it carefully around her legs. She gazed up at him with sleepy eyes, her lips curling into a small smile. She was nice, Daddy, Lily whispered softly. The simple words pierced through him like an arrow. Ethan froze, his hands tightening on the blanket. He had provided her with the best doctors, the finest home, the most advanced chair. Yet how rarely had she spoken of someone with such warmth. He swallowed hard, blinking against the sting in his eyes. Yes, he murmured. She was. Lily leaned her head against the side of her chair, humming softly to herself. Ethan stood for a long moment beneath the streetlights, realizing that in all his wealth, the greatest gift his daughter had received today was kindness. That night, long after Lily had fallen asleep, Ethan sat alone in his study. The glow of a desk lamp lit up the papers and contracts spread before him, symbols of the empire he had built. Yet his eyes were not on them. Instead, they lingered on a simple napkin taped to the wall, the crooked red heart Lily had drawn. He had slipped it into his pocket after they left the café, unable to throw it away. Now, as he stared at it, a strange calm filled him. That heart was not just a drawing. It was a reminder of the kindness of a stranger, a reminder of what Lily truly needed, moments of love, not just security. Ethan leaned back in his chair, closing his eyes, and for the first time in years, he felt a quiet peace wash over him. The morning sun spilled across the dining room table, casting soft light over their breakfast. Ethan sat across from Lily, a spoon in his hand. She watched him with curious eyes as he lifted it slowly toward her. "Ready?" he asked gently. Lily giggled and leaned forward, accepting the bite. It was clumsy, slower than Maya's practiced grace, but Lily's smile told him it was enough. For years, Ethan had feared these small moments, afraid of failing her, afraid of breaking her fragile independence. But now, he understood. It wasn't about being perfect. It was about being present. The crooked heart drawing lay on the table between them, a quiet reminder of the day a stranger's kindness had changed them both. Ethan smiled, his heart lighter than it had been in years. And in that still morning, father and daughter began again.